I know the tragedy that's happened there, and I know these people are going to be they're in for a long haul.
As Spokane begins its long road to recovery, people in Medical Lake are sharing their stories about life after devastating fires.
And I'm tracking the forecast today where we're expecting to see some drier conditions and even some warmer temperatures.
Whether I was wearing a Red Cross shirt or not, I would still do everything I could to help them because that's who we are.
Plus, the community is stepping up in a big way to help everyone impacted by the Spokane area fires. That story in about 5 minutes. Good Sunday morning, everyone. Welcome to Up with KREM. I'm Tim Pham. Let's get you ready for the day with Jenny Power tracking today's forecast. Jenny, you're looking at some drier conditions, but also warmer today?
Yeah, that's exactly right, Tim. Here, we're talking temperatures this afternoon reaching the upper 80s in Spokane. So a few degrees warmer than where we were at yesterday, and in general, some drier conditions for today as well, even up in the higher elevations. It is going to be a pretty dry extended forecast, but let's get into your future tracker. Seeing a few clouds out there for this afternoon. As we move forward through our future tracker, yes, we do have the slight chance of seeing some showers up toward parts of the northern Cascades, but some more mild conditions for this Sunday is what we're expecting to see. It's even going to continue to be dry for the start of this upcoming week. Temperatures this afternoon, 88 degrees for Spokane. Again, that is warmer than where we were at yesterday. 86 for Coeur d'Alene. We do see the return of some low 90s for the LC Valley, Walla Walla. 95 is the high for Richland, 88 in Wenatchee, as well as north to Omax. So if you've been trying to get outside and enjoy some summery conditions, we are seeing that with lighter winds. So good to spend some time outdoors. A full look, though, at the upcoming work week. That's coming up in just a few minutes. Tim?
Process from the recent fires will likely be a long and strenuous one. As KREM 2's Brandon T. Jones reports, neighbors in Medical Lake are sharing what it's like to recover from sudden flames that can rip a community apart.
All of the trees that are still standing are just waiting to be burned again. It's definitely a fire hazard out here still.
It's been a long 3 years since the Medical Lake community found themselves at the center of national headlines.
Seeing the state say that they're going to give, I don't know that any of us have really seen it, but we could use help out here just cleaning up the land.
An August fire ripping through neighborhoods, hopping from house to house, destroying property, and forcing families to start from scratch.
We could see the fires and the flames and the glow starting to erupt.
There's shades of similarities for the recent Spokane complex fires, only this time, the destruction is more widespread, and for those impacted, they have an example of what a rise from the ashes may look like.
I know the tragedy that's happened there, and I know these people are going to be they're in for a long haul.
About 40 minutes east, a homeowner is now living through what's the start of her own journey to figure out what's next.
February of '82 is when we moved in. It was my parents' home and I came back to it. I take care of my younger sister who's disabled.
Marie Hughes just lost her family home that's been around for 44 years. She evacuated after receiving a call from her neighbor, but she didn't expect it would be the last time they saw it intact.
We were out of there by 2:30. The house went up in flames at 5:43.
One item left standing, a statue of Mother Mary with her arms extended.
I'm just confident that things will get better. And that's that you're not walking alone, you know.
Yes, ma'am.
God's with me.
And while she takes those steps forward, the next 3 months will be spent at an Airbnb. Past that, there's not as much clarity, but she and other families impacted by the recent fires can look towards Medical Lake.
But also in the process of all of it, like just remember what things are important, because in the midst of losing like monetary items, like if you just still have your family and a place to lay your head down at night, just be grateful.
From Spokane County, Brandon T. Jones, KREM 2 News.
With so much destruction and heartache right now in our community, we've launched the Help to Northwest campaign. It's a partnership between KREM, the American Red Cross, and Rosars. You can help out and donate right now by using this QR code on your screen, or you can visit our website, krem.com, and click on the Help to Northwest link. It goes right to the Red Cross. We do want to say a big thank you to everyone, because together we have raised hundreds of thousands of dollars for the Red Cross. The damages from the Spokane area fires could take years to fully recover. Jim Nelson spoke with volunteers in North Spokane who are helping people through the devastation.
It's hard to see the good in times like this.
Hi, can I interest you in a box lunch from Caruso's?
But like a gift from above.
Would you like a cold Gatorade? Yeah, I'll take it. Okay, 1 second.
Volunteers are stepping up from organizations big and small.
Pretty in pink. Thank you. You're welcome. Have a good day. Yeah. Bye-bye.
World Central Kitchen is handing out meals and cold drinks. And beside the rubble, homeowners have found mysterious tools.
I don't know exactly who made them, but they are sifters. So they're homemade with a screen on the bottom, and you just go through your belongings and find whatever treasures are still there.
Mystery solved. The American Red Cross and National Guard delivering sifters, shovels, rakes, and protective clothing.
Okay, we're going to go the other street because they all have it here.
They do whatever they can.
We can't replace their home, but we can sure try to help them as they're sifting through what's left.
Jamie Myers and other volunteers are helping homeowners who lost everything.
There was a footprint and a handprint of his babies in here, and now they're unrecognizable.
For Jamie, it's personal. Her family was just outside an evacuation zone, but she wasn't home when it all started.
My daughter, she's 16, and then my 23-year-old were home by themselves, and so we had to prep them, you know, from states away to get the animals ready, make sure you have the kennels, get some food ready, get the important binder of documents, you know, put a go bag on the counter, you know, and be ready.
They were spared. So many weren't. And that's what drives her.
Whether I was wearing a Red Cross shirt or not, I would still do everything I could to help them, because that's who we are, right? As if you get involved with a humanitarian organization, it's because you're a humanitarian, right? You just love humans.
We've got more news ahead. First, tips on filing an insurance claim if you had to evacuate. There could be compensation whether you lost everything or just had to leave home for a few days. Why it's best, though, to act now. And later, Spokane will feel the impact of the fires for years to come. How the destruction could affect the housing market for both buyers and sellers. Hundreds of homes and other buildings have been lost in the Spokane fires. For homeowners, there are a lot of questions and a lot to navigate in the coming months, especially when it comes to insurance. This morning, we have John Kapelak from Country Financial here to answer some of your questions. Good morning, John. I want to get right into it. As people start getting back into their neighborhoods, especially since evacuations are now lifted, some are seeing the damage for the first time and getting that heartbreaking news that maybe they lost their home or maybe had some major damage. I guess walk us through, what's the first thing people need to do?
Yeah, if you did suffer a loss, it'd be important to start taking photographs, collecting information, and file a claim quickly. A lot of insurance carriers have flown in experts and senior claims advisors for this big loss to be able to help quickly and handle everything as efficiently as possible. So I think important things to do would be document everything, take good photographs, gather any receipts for any expenses you've already incurred, and file a claim quickly.
So let's talk about home and auto insurance. In a situation like this, is that covered in a disaster like this? Would you call this a disaster?
It's definitely a disaster. Yes, most home insurance policies cover fire, naturally. Many people are surprised to find out that even their vehicles or motorcycles or boats that are in the garage are not covered under home insurance. So it is important, if you have motorcycles, to have motorcycle insurance, and boats and boat insurance. Typically, a home insurance policy would cover the dwelling, all of your personal effects, all your contents, and other structures on the property, as well as additional living expense, giving you somewhere to stay if your home's uninhabitable.
And talk about renting. Is it different for people who lost everything if they were a renter? Does that fall under renter's insurance?
Yeah, if you have renter's insurance, that covers your personal effects, your personal property, and that's wildfire would typically be covered under those. It's important to review your policy. Talk to your agent and go over what coverages you have, because an insurance policy is a legal contract and everyone's different. So it's important to be reviewing those and talking to the claims adjuster and going over what coverages you have.
Walk us through, what is the process going to be like for people filing these claims? It is probably very stressful. What is the process like?
Yeah, the claims, if you lost your home, the claims adjuster is going to help you rebuild the home, reconstruct it. And some of the important things are going to be determining the characteristics of your home. So if you have an opportunity to pull a bank appraisal, or maybe photographs from your realtor sites when you purchased the home, or even looking through your personal picture album to see if you've had videos or photos or things to help remember what you had, and also be able to document the construction grade and the material finish of your home. So the claims adjuster can help you value it, get with a contractor, a builder, help you get it rebuilt, and then start replacing all of your stuff, which can take a while.
Yeah, absolutely. John, I do want to quickly ask you, this hits close to home for Country Financial. About how many clients have you helped so far for these specific fires?
Yeah, I think we have just about 100 claims open right now. And I know we have 20-something confirmed total losses. So we've flown in adjusters from all over the country, senior claims adjusters and analysts to come and help. And it is a tough time.
Thanks, John, and thanks for what you guys are doing.
Yeah, thanks, Tim.
We'll be right back. In the aftermath of the Spokane area fires, hundreds of families are now forced to start over. Some may rebuild, others could look for new neighborhoods. So how will that affect the housing market? KREM 2's Sydney Schofield spoke to a real estate expert about how the destruction will impact people looking to buy, sell, or rent.
For more than 20 years, Spokane native Melissa Murphy has worked in real estate, now running both a brokerage and property management company.
We have a pulse of what was happening in the real estate market and the rental market, and both are kind of at a crossroads after what happened last week.
The Spokane complex fires leveling entire neighborhoods. One of the first things Melissa's company did was work to furnish as many rentals as possible,
so that we can help people who've been completely displaced, that have nothing, and help them in a state of overwhelm kind of piece things together.
She says most of their previously available rental units got scooped up pretty quickly after the fire sparked. If you are in a current lease, landlords cannot go in and jack up your rent. But if you're looking for a place, Melissa says rent prices were just starting to come down after the pandemic. But with all the families needing somewhere to go,
there's not going to be the bargaining power that they were finally starting to see in the rental market. And we're probably going to see those rental prices firm up again.
As far as the real estate market, with more than 700 homes destroyed, she says likely the majority will cut their losses and move somewhere new.
Looking at historical examples, most experts say that only about a third of those who lose their house will go through the rebuild process. Now, the city of Spokane has stated that they're going to work to accelerate the process, but we know it still takes time.
With all the extra steps around environmental cleanup, she says a wildfire rebuild could take 18 months at minimum. The potential of hundreds of families looking for a new home could cause a market shift too.
The Spokane market for the last couple of months, if not years, has been very much a buyer's market. A buyer has a lot more options available, has more negotiating rooms than they have in years. And so this could be more of a balancing effect that we see.
We'll likely see the impact of these fires for years to come. But Melissa says it's also put the strength of our community on display.
There's a huge hole in Spokane's heart right now, and it's just amazing to see everybody rally together to support those who've been on evacuation or have lost everything, and that we can truly be proud of.
Let's take a look at the forecast and what we're seeing here on this Sunday. We are going to be seeing more dry conditions for the start or the end of the weekend here that linger into early next week. Temperatures that are closer to our average in the mid to upper 80s for the next couple of days. Getting into our future tracker through this afternoon, we are going to start to see some more increasing clouds across eastern Washington and North Idaho. And by this evening, the slight chances of the return of some spotty showers up in the mountains of the northern Cascades. So that's really really all the activity that we are picking up on our future tracker. Mostly dry conditions overnight tonight and into the start of this upcoming work week. Our winds in general today are also going to be on the lighter side. So at about 5 to 15 mile per hour gusts is what we're expecting. So if you do have any outdoor plans, it's looking fairly mild. Temperatures this afternoon are even a little bit warmer than where we were at yesterday. 88 degrees this afternoon in Spokane. We're at 86 in Coeur d'Alene, 90 degrees in Moses Lake, 91 for Walla Walla, with some low 90s south to the LC Valley. So summer-like conditions for sure, pretty on par with our seasonal norm. As we take a look across the nation, we're looking warm for sure. South to Arizona, 108 degrees this afternoon in Phoenix, 91 for Albuquerque, 101 for Dallas, Texas, 88 degrees in Washington, D.C., 80 for Minneapolis, 84 out in Billings for Montana, and 85 as the high in Portland. Overall, as we take a look at what's to come next week, we are looking to trend a little bit warmer than our seasonal norm, and also seeing here a bit more moisture and precipitation chances possible than our average and our seasonal norm for this upcoming week. So of course that's something we'll keep a very close eye on. Of course, for the latest updates on the forecast, just make sure you have the KREM 2 app. That's where you can find some of the latest updates, as well as stream our live local radar 24/7. So a couple of options there. As today for your Sunday, it's going to be a fairly mild summer day for the region.
Air quality is improving, but some areas in Washington are not in the clear yet. What to know about staying safe with reduced air quality?
Well, as we continue to track the Spokane area fires, as well as fires across central Washington and even in North Idaho, the lasting impacts of smoke is super important to pay attention to, which is why we have a guest here in studio. We're talking to Kimberly, and you have been in the emergency services field for 35 years. You're here local to Spokane too. I'm sure you've seen a lot through your time, and as people are facing devastation and tragedy and heartbreak, there's also those health impacts we want to make sure people are very aware of. So as crews are on the lines taking care of people right now, what is your personal guidance, and why are there so many issues in the respiratory system that you guys see with so much smoke in the air and the air quality concerns?
Yeah. So what we're seeing is an increase in respiratory 911 calls, and that is, a lot of that is due to our COPD patients and patients who suffer from respiratory illness. Those patients can quickly exacerbate into a COPD exacerbation from the smoke and other irritants, and so that is really what we've been seeing a lot of and treating a lot of in the field and ultimately in the ER. Also our patients who suffer from asthma and other more severe cystic fibrosis patients who are challenged in the respiratory system.
We're going to have smoke in the air for quite some time, I believe. There's still some dangerous weather patterns ahead for our future in this area too. What is the main concern long term, but also the practical guidance you want to share for our last question today?
Yeah. So practical guidance, of course, reduce your exposure if you can to smoke. If you do have to be outside or you want to be outside, I mean, I understand we don't want to all be cooped up. Wear an N95 if you can, if you have access to one. Surgical masks, unfortunately, probably aren't the best protection for patients who do have respiratory illness. So an N95 would be the best. And just for our general public and population, you know, they're also going to be affected, patients that or individuals that don't suffer from respiratory disease. I mean, you can have sinus issues, you can have scratchy throat, runny nose, irritants to the eyes. So just be smart. If you're experiencing shortness of breath or you're experiencing symptoms from the smoke, just reduce your exposure.
Coming up, should we stop switching our clocks twice a year? Lots of people say yes, but they're divided on whether we should stick with standard time or daylight saving time. Health experts weigh in. Head on up with KREM. As displaced people return home, they realize that one of their neighbors never left. How she helped firefighters keep homes safe. Plus, Spokane Public Schools making sure that displaced students can make it back to school no matter where they're staying now. And if you're filling lunch boxes for picky eaters, we've got some tips, the snacks you might want to try this school year. Hey there, good morning everyone. Welcome to Up with KREM. I'm Tim Pham. Let's get over to Jenny Power helping you prepare for your Sunday and also the work week ahead. Jenny, are we going to be warmer this week?
Yeah, we are, Tim. So as we take a look at the forecast here for your Sunday, temperatures are a little bit warmer than where we were at yesterday. I'm tracking highs in Spokane in the upper 80s, drier conditions as well with continued lighter winds. Into this upcoming week, it is going to be partly cloudy. Calm winds remain for us, so all good news there. This is a look at our future tracker where through this afternoon, we are at times going to be seeing some increasing clouds, those partly cloudy conditions, as well as the slight chance for some mountain showers in the northern Cascades and up near the Canadian border. So just some things to keep in mind if you are traveling or you are moving through those areas for the day today. As we take a look at temperatures across the region, 86 is the high for Coeur d'Alene, 85 for St. Mary's, and we are seeing some low 90s for Walla Walla, Lewiston, Orofino, and mid to upper 80s across Chelan, Wenatchee, and Omak. I am in general tracking some drier conditions for this upcoming week ahead as well. We'll really feel it humidity wise too. So we'll look at that in just a few minutes. Tim?
Thousands of evacuees returned to their neighborhoods this week, and while many left their homes in an instant when the fires first broke out, some chose to stay. KREM 2's Christian Garza tells us about one woman who stayed behind to help fight the flames.
For more than a week, these streets were quiet. Houses sat empty, driveways were clear, and the people who lived here were left waiting to find out if they'd have anything to come back to. Now the sound of car engines and conversations have returned as families make their way back home for the first time since the Spokane complex fires forced them out.
Sunday morning, I didn't sleep all night, as I'm sure nobody did.
For Tricia Lord, coming home meant finally seeing for herself what was left behind.
I knew I was certain the house would be gone, the way the wind was moving, and yeah, of course, it's just terrifying.
But while Lord and so many others were away, someone was still here.
You didn't leave?
Nope.
Oh, Max.
He's in it with the firefighters over there. So.
Max!
Max. I go by Max.
Max Powell has lived here for more than a decade. She built a life in this neighborhood after serving our country. And when the fire threatened the place she called home, she says she couldn't leave it behind.
So I was hosing down houses. I drove up to where the houses were on fire, and there was a firefighter that lives there. Him and his two buddies had kept the line really well. I asked if they needed help, and the only help that they needed was just hosing down houses. So I just kept hosing down houses that I could reach to.
Every day, she patrolled these now empty streets, checking on homes, watching the fire, and doing what she could to protect the neighborhood she knew so well.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't sleep at night. I mean, I just kept seeing smoke, and every time I saw smoke, I got in the Jeep and drove around, make sure it was just smoke.
But her efforts came at a cost.
Yeah, I got hurt. I fractured my right foot.
At the height of the fires, she says this neighborhood felt like a war zone.
But I just kept going. I couldn't, you know, the military and me or what, I just had to keep helping.
A feeling she knows all too well after serving in Iraq.
This, to me, was even worse. I mean, in Iraq, I didn't have my pets to worry about. I didn't have family members to worry about. You just took care of each other and just took care of the zones. But here, it was different. I mean, you have loved ones around you and you're trying to keep them alive. I feel like this was worse.
Powell says she wasn't the only one who stayed. A handful of her neighbors also refused to leave, staying behind to protect the homes and streets they loved. But for Powell, there was always one question hanging over her head. When would it be over?
That was my hardest thing, was not knowing if I was just going to have to sit here and wait.
But the streets aren't empty anymore, meaning Powell doesn't have to continue to keep watch.
Hopefully I'll sleep soon, now that everybody's home.
A concern for some impacted families is what the school year will look like following the fires. Students who have been displaced may qualify for support to help them stay enrolled in the same school and with transportation. Spokane Public Schools sent out a survey to the community. They say to fill that out if you need help, even if you are not sure what your housing situation will look like when school begins. And with the new school year comes some school lunches. But getting some kids to eat their food, whether it comes from the lunchroom or even from home, can be tough. So here's some lunch ideas that may please even the pickiest eaters.
You want them to eat well-balanced meals, but sometimes...
Yeah, half sandwich. No.
That's easier said than done.
The one thing to avoid is what your child won't like and won't eat.
Catherine Sherry with Children's Healthcare of Atlanta says if your child wants to try school lunches, to go over the menu and pick the days that will appease their palate. She says schools have to follow rules and regulations regarding what's served.
There is going to be a fruit, a vegetable, a protein, and a carb on that plate. So it really is a balanced meal.
But picky eaters may want to pack their lunch, and Sherry says providing them with a healthy meal they'll actually eat doesn't have to be hard. She says to involve them.
Take the kids to the grocery store or ask them what type of fruit or vegetable do you want in your lunch this week.
Making it fun can also help. Try ham and cheese roll-ups with hummus, whole wheat pita, celery, and a banana, or deconstructed tacos, ground beef, guacamole, whole wheat tortilla, lettuce and tomato, and watermelon. Or meat dippers, cubed chicken with their favorite dip, trail mix, carrots, pineapple. You could also try homemade Lunchables, sliced turkey and cheese, alongside nut or seed butter, crackers, green beans, and some apple slices. Make it all healthier than store-bought brands. And Sherry says students should wash lunch down with water to avoid a sugar high or crash.
That is going to be the best option to get them through the day, to keep their brains working, to not give them headaches.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Hundreds are returning home to something unrecognizable. And even though the flames are out, safety is as important as ever. How to stay safe in areas that may be toxic. Plus, fighting fires takes a toll on the body. We'll show you how firefighters detox after long days on the front lines. All evacuations are lifted for the Spokane area fires, but the recovery is just beginning. This morning we have Dr. Francisco Velasquez with the Spokane Regional Health District with us. You're the health officer for the county. Good morning. Thanks for being here.
Good morning. Happy to be here today.
I want to jump right in and talk about, it is going to be a long road to recovery. People are getting back to see the destruction, and there's some health concerns and safety concerns we want to talk about. What's the messaging from the health department?
So I think we need to remember it's a complex fire, meaning a lot of structures, vegetation. That means the composition of smoke and ash is different depending on where you are. There are some things that everybody needs to be mindful of as they approach their home again, and it all depends on the amount of damage that could be there.
Sure.
So a visual inspection, making sure you're aware of your surroundings. If there are any utilities that don't look like they're working, please call the utilities. And we do know that in structural fires, a lot of things burn that can cause long-term harm if they're not managed appropriately, like asbestos or lead, toxic metals, etc. So I think what we're telling people is, particularly those that were heavily impacted with the health officer order, we have allowed the process of the EPA to move a little bit further and faster in removing some of the immediate hazardous materials that are there, like batteries and propane tanks. And if they see anything that looks like asbestos, although they're not doing asbestos removal, but if you see a pile of roof tiles being burned, that could look like asbestos. So people need to be mindful of the surroundings and what's in the home. Once areas reopen, there's still some concerns, and for all of us, regardless of how far we are, we still have air quality issues to be mindful
Right,
of.
totally. And you talked about the long-term health effects. Obviously, it really determines on what they're exposed to. But what are some major concerns in a situation like this? What could be a result of a long-term health effect if you're exposed?
So one of the things that we worry about is long-term impact to your respiratory cardiovascular system. And for example, if you have a long-term exposure to asbestos, hopefully no one will be long-term exposed, you can be concerned about things like lung cancer or mesothelioma. But what I want everybody to remember is that short-term exposures may not cause long-term harm, but even short-term exposure still cause some harm to your lungs and your heart. That's why we're asking people, if you're going to be outside and the AQI is pretty high, make sure you're wearing your mask, because all those small particulate materials are still getting into your lungs.
So talk about the resources available for people affected now going back to their property, and they might want to be collecting things or going back. Is there PPE available for people directly impacted?
So 3 things I want people to do before they go back to their place. 1, look at our website. We have a site, what to do after a fire. 2, look at the Spokane Clean Air Agency website about various resources for the assessment of toxic materials. And 3, make sure you get one of the kits from the American Red Cross that has all the PPE you need to go back to your place safely. Don't bring children and pets on the first pass. Make sure that adults do an assessment before you bring children and pets.
Dr. Velasquez, you've been doing this for a long time. Have you ever seen anything like this in our community?
Been practicing medicine for a lot longer than I want to say in many places, and public health for many years, and I don't think I've ever seen anything like this. Actually, I went through all of the sites that were heavily impacted with members of the EPA, et cetera, to see, and I had no words to describe it, basically.
Wow. Well, Dr. Velasquez, thanks for what you and your team is doing. Again, be sure to check out the Spokane Regional Health District's website for all the information. We'll be right back. Firefighting takes a big toll on the body. Mark Hanrahan takes us inside the fire camp for a look at the detox treatment for first responders.
On the southeast corner of the Spokane County Fairgrounds, there are 2 large white tents labeled Exposure Detox.
So you're gonna breathe into your mouth, out through your nose.
Inside, a team of clinicians and volunteers hook firefighters up to nebulizers and IVs, administering a treatment aimed at detoxing their lungs and bodies from harmful toxins they're exposed to.
This is kind of like, I think, firefighters' dream, if you ask me, to have that assurance that we're taking care of our bodies after we're exposed to so many things.
Firefighter Daniel Ramey, based out of California, got his first treatment today. He's hopeful it'll make breathing a little easier.
Generally, I always feel congestion after most fires. A lot of us will have tightness of our throats, a cough from the dust, as well as the smoke.
Doctors are trained to work with this compound called glutathione. It's made in all of these organs in the body. It's present in virtually every single cell in a mammal's body for the specific purpose of detox, but also it heals tissue. It's considered the master antioxidant in the body.
Jackie Jorgensen is with the nonprofit Volunteer Fire Foundation. They, along with their partner organization, Integrative Health Action Network, have been offering this treatment to firefighters in California for the past few years. This marks the first time they've been called to a fire camp.
And so I felt there was a need to just reach out and see if they'd be willing to come up and help out the local firefighters here.
Captain Matt Cafey is the medical director for California Interagency Fire Management Team 7, which is overseeing the response to the Spokane area fires. He's undergone the treatment himself following the massive Eaton fire in LA County in 2025. He's convinced it works.
Within hours, there's just this kind of lift of just the heaviness or experience of just literally trying to breathe. The headaches and the constant just pressure in your head starts to be relieved.
With the treatment now offered on site, he hopes more firefighters will see that same relief.
And so the therapies and treatments that we've received are life-changing.
Let's take a look at the forecast and what we're seeing here on this Sunday. We are going to be seeing more dry conditions for the start or the end of the weekend here that linger into early next week. Temperatures that are closer to our average in the mid to upper 80s for the next couple of days. Getting into our future tracker through this afternoon, we are going to start to see some more increasing clouds across eastern Washington and North Idaho. And by this evening, the slight chances of the return of some spotty showers up in the mountains of the northern Cascades. So that's really all the activity that we are picking up on our future tracker. Mostly dry conditions overnight tonight and into the start of this upcoming work week. Our winds in general today are also going to be on the lighter side. So at about 5 to 15 mile per hour gusts is what we're expecting. So if you do have any outdoor plans, it's looking fairly mild. Temperatures this afternoon are even a little bit warmer than where we were at yesterday. 88 degrees this afternoon in Spokane. We're at 86 in Coeur d'Alene, 90 degrees in Moses Lake, 91 for Walla Walla, with some low 90s south to the LC Valley. So summer-like conditions for sure, pretty on par with our seasonal norm. As we take a look across the nation, we're looking warm for sure. South to Arizona, 108 degrees this afternoon in Phoenix, 91 for Albuquerque, 101 for Dallas, Texas, 88 degrees in Washington, D.C., 80 for Minneapolis, 84 out in Billings for Montana, and 85 as the high in Portland. Overall, as we take a look at what's to come next week, we are looking to trend a little bit warmer than our seasonal norm, and also seeing here a bit more moisture and precipitation chances possible than our average and our seasonal norm for this upcoming week. So of course that's something we'll keep a very close eye on. Of course, for the latest updates on the forecast, just make sure you have the KREM 2 app. That's where you can find some of the latest updates, as well as stream our live local radar 24/7. So a couple of options there. As today for your Sunday, it's going to be a fairly mild summer day for the region.
Right now, the Senate weighing a switch to permanent daylight saving time, but health experts across the country say that could be the wrong move. Here's how year-round daylight saving time would affect us here in the Northwest.
Up here in the Northwest, many of us are used to mornings staying darker in the fall and winter months. But if lawmakers pass a law to allow states to stay in daylight saving time permanently, here in Washington, that means even longer dark mornings.
This is not the right change for the Pacific Northwest.
Dr. Vishesh Kapoor is a professor at the University of Washington School of Medicine and co-director of the UW Medicine Sleep Center.
If you went into daylight savings time in the winter, sunrise would be at 9 a.m.
So why is that not a good thing, according to doctors? Dr. Kapoor says, sure, permanent daylight saving time would lead to more daylight in the evening hours, but in the morning, the longer dark could impact our health.
And so you think about elementary school students starting school at 8 a.m. That would mean they would have to wake up 2 hours before the sun rises and be in school an hour before the sun rises. And, you know, the body is just not made to do that.
Sleep experts like Dr. Kapoor argue the lack of morning light while waking up could lead to sleep deprivation and other health consequences.
We know that people who are getting 6 hours and less of sleep over time have metabolic effects that include gaining weight, increased high blood pressure, increased risk of cardiovascular diseases, increased risk of mood disorders.
Dr. Kapoor acknowledges changing the clocks twice a year is a pain, but what he recommends is staying in permanent standard time as it aligns better with the activity of the sun and our circadian rhythms. This would mean brighter winter mornings, but in the summer, earlier sunsets.
We have what's called a body clock that lets our body know when it's time to do certain things, such as go to sleep, be awake, eat, things like that. And that body clock is set by the sun. And so you want to have your clock time to align with the sun, so your activities align with your body clock.
Several lawmakers in Congress, including Washington Senator Patty Murray, have continued pushing for permanent daylight saving time through the Sunshine Protection Act. It has yet to be passed. Currently, no states are in constant daylight saving time, but Hawaii and Arizona are in permanent standard time.
The U.S. Capitol is already getting ready for Christmas, and Idaho is helping in a really cool way. You might even be able to get in on the holiday fun. We'll explain in 2 minutes. Okay, so Jenny, I was at Costco the other day, and I already saw all the Halloween stuff. It's been out for a while, but I also saw that they had their holiday gift wrapping supplies out.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's even before back to school or Halloween is even over. And I really did see, I saw a really cool statue that it was, I think it was Winnie the Pooh, but it had a Christmas Winnie the Pooh, but then it had a cloak that you could put over and make it Winnie the Pooh the ghost.
Oh, so it could be both.
It's both. It's both,
okay,
which
it's
is
just
pretty
a
good.
different little outfit change for the seasons. I can get behind it. I can respect it. So I guess you could say it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas, which is crazy because it's still August. But that's extra true for Idaho this week. The 2026 U.S. Capitol Christmas tree has been selected near Kamei, Idaho. That's just southeast of Lewiston.
Oh, wow, that's so cool. The tree will stand in front of the nation's capital. It's an 80-foot tall grand fir in the Salmon River Ranger District. The precise location will remain confidential until the harvest in late October. Then the tree gets to go on a trip across the country to D.C.
And it will be decorated with thousands of handcrafted ornaments made by people in Idaho.
Wow.
So if you want to contribute a handmade ornament, you can find details at the website uscapitolchristmastree.com. But how special is that?
There better be some potato ornaments on there. You got to represent for Idaho.
Yeah, a little potato with like a little Santa hat or something. I can see it.
It's a fun way to get involved too and have a little piece of history, you know, on display in the nation's capital.
Yeah, incredible.
Not feeling like Christmas right now. My goodness. I don't want to think about that. I love Christmas, but I don't really like the weather around then.
We're still soaking up the 80-degree temperatures. Don't worry, Tim.
Okay, thank goodness. All right, well, that'll do it for us, friends. A big thanks to our team behind the scenes. We'll see you back here tomorrow for more Up with KREM.
Yeah, have a good day, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.